is NBC Palm Springs.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Gino Lamont. Sarah Sanchez getting a little jump on the holiday weekend. Our top story tonight is the start of our last holiday long weekend for the summertime. Traditionally one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. We're not seeing the usual bumper-to-bumper traffic into and out of the Coachella Valley. Is a live picture right now of Interstate 10 from our Agua Caliente camera in Rancho Mirage. The traffic is steady, but for a Labor Day weekend, pretty manageable, at least out here in the desert. Lots of folks will be headed to the beaches, of course, if for no other reason than to cool off by about 20 degrees. And that's a big concern for city leaders and health officials, worried about too many people gathering too close together without proper protection as far as face coverings. So that's a live look at one of the popular destinations as they hit the roadways. Now, live in Palm Springs International Airport, the control tower is on the left side of your screen there. You can kind of see it in the haze. Generally, we can see planes taking off and landing pretty rapidly, but nothing going up or coming down right now. Now, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so we have live team coverage with Nico Payne tracking holiday traffic, Olivia Sandusky checking outdoor dining in downtown Palm Springs, and our Kitty Alvarado on safe practices for social gatherings over this holiday weekend. But let's begin with Nico Payne at Palm Springs International Airport. Nico.
Your close attention, please.
Hi, Gino. Good evening. I can tell you, we are here near the baggage claim, and it is very empty. Now, there are no estimated figures on travel due to the pandemic, but travel is expected to rise this weekend. I spoke to travelers coming back into town from business trips and others who are here to celebrate and have fun. As we head into this Labor Day weekend, a big announcement from Southwest Airlines.
Palm Springs is a great California destination. Southwest has long carried more customers to, from, and within the Golden State than any other airline.
The airline is launching new year-round routes later this year to Palm Springs and Miami.
This is an opportunity to generate more revenue and customers with available airplanes and people. Our fundamental challenge right now is too few customers.
City leaders say this move is a long time coming.
It's something that has been a priority for the City Council for over 10 years. It wasn't that many years ago that we used to have to pay American Airlines to have one flight a day in the summer to Dallas. So now we've come full circle with Southwest, so this is great news.
Travelers coming into town shared their holiday travel experience and why they decided to come embrace the desert heat.
We are celebrating for a bachelorette party for our sister. Yes. She's been here before and loves Joshua Tree, and so we have 10 of us coming, and we're all here to celebrate with her.
It was just a business trip, and I had to be out there for 2 weeks. Came back home to this nice, dry heat where I love Virginia, super humid, and I do not like humidity.
How was your flight?
It was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
It wasn't packed.
It wasn't packed. There was a lot of room, so it was nice.
And of course, the Coachella Valley is a popular destination due to all the fine dining. And that's where our Olivia Sandusky is in the heart of Palm Springs with that part of our live coverage.
Thank you, Nico. Yeah, it has changed up a little bit, though, starting today. We're in the middle of Palm Canyon. We'd usually have a lot of cars passing through this area, but they've closed it down. No vehicle traffic allowed, which is letting these restaurants here push into the street. It's a really neat view. We have Lulu and Las Casuelas right here in this view, and you can see they are trying to entice some diners. They've got umbrellas. They've got misters. They've rolled out some fake grass even to keep you cool because it is pretty toasty out here, especially if you're dining on the street. But this is the way they're just trying to bring a crowd in for Labor Day weekend. Lulu told us that this whole setup here took them about 4 hours, but the process has been a week long working with the city to get this set up. They told us that this will last here for at least through the end of December, but they're hoping that it can extend further into next year. Now, it is, of course, the start of Labor Day weekend, and it's a pretty light crowd out here so far, but you can see these closures going all the way down. A few restaurants have trickled out into the street as well, so hoping to just generate some more tourism here in a very challenging year for our restaurants and our businesses. So we're going to keep an eye. We'll be out here checking in on the restaurants. They told us they are expecting some good crowds tonight, hoping to serve them as well. But one thing that is going to be challenging, this heat on our Labor Day weekend. So Gino, we'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Olivia. We're looking at a live picture courtesy of our tramway cam. You could see kind of a haze sitting over the valley. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett and find out exactly what's going on there. Mike.
Gino, despite the fact that we are hot and we are dry, we also have some easterly flow that is pushing in from Imperial County there, bringing in some of that humidity and some of that dust. But like that gentleman was saying just a few minutes ago, compared to what they're experiencing in other portions of the country, the humidity that we have is really no big deal. What is a big deal is this broad ridge of high pressure. I figured that just zooming out the infrared map here would help illustrate what I'm trying to tell folks, is that this is massive. Anything that's trying to come in over the Pacific is being diverted well up into British Columbia. What that's doing is exposing the entire western half of the country to some extreme heat this weekend. You already know that we have that excessive heat warning in place. We were upgraded just a couple days ago. It's not just a Coachella Valley thing. We will be under this until Monday night at 8 p.m. But even when you head towards the coast, we're expecting temperatures that could be anywhere between 10 and 20 degrees above average. It's going to be a hot weekend. The only place that isn't under an immediate warning right now is mountains above 5,000 feet. But along the coast, it's going to be hot as well. And overnight temperatures aren't going to recover very well either. We're going to run in the 90s here. We'll see some overnights in the 80s along the coast. We're getting a jump on it already. In fact, 116 was our official high today. And look at that. Tied the record going back to 1955. As we go into the weekend, we're going to take these numbers up and records are going to fall all across Southern California. We'll give you the details on that. Just in case you're wondering, this is how far above average we are right now. 104 is the 30-year average. 84 in the overnights was a good 8 degrees warm as well. And again, we're expecting to add 5 or 6 degrees to that on Saturday and on Sunday. To make matters worse, we've got a red flag warning now. You remember that we had a fire weather watch that was in place yesterday. We've now been upgraded to red flag warnings. An easterly flow is going to come in this weekend, very similar to what we saw today. Gusts will get up to about 25, 30 miles an hour, but in some more wind-prone spots, especially near the Banning and the Morongo Pass there, could get up to about 40 miles an hour. That will lower relative humidity down to about 10 to 15%. Thus, anything in the mountains will be susceptible to fire. Anything that starts will burn fairly quickly. I can't emphasize it enough. If you don't absolutely have to burn anything outside, fireworks, bonfires, barbecues, anything like that, if you could just put a lid on it this weekend, that would help a lot. Take a look at neighborhood weather right now. After hitting that record territory, we've backed off 1 degree, but it's still extremely warm out there. 115 at Palm Springs International, where we just saw Nico Payne. That east-southeasterly wind coming in about 12 to 15 miles an hour sustained. We'll make that diurnal switch around to the northwest later tonight, but it will happen late, and it will be a very unenthusiastic one. We're talking about 10 to 15 miles an hour for some ventilation. It's also very dry out there. Humidity sitting at about 7%. We'll see more of that this weekend. Speaking of which, the next 3 days are brought to you by Comfort Air, and there is very little comfort on the horizon. We'll push 120 Saturday, Sunday, and on Monday. Overnight lows only cool into the lower 90s, but there's some very good news on the back end of this. I'll share it with you, and we'll take a closer look at the weekend coming up.
All right, thank you, Mike. And with the extreme heat Mike was just telling us about, it's going to be tough for family and friends to hang out outside, which is really what you should be doing. But a lot of people are now going to have to move the party inside, and that could be a problem. Our Kitty Alvarado is live in Indio at a COVID-19 testing site, a place you'd rather not end up after this holiday weekend. Kitty, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gino. That's right. And people tell me a lot of them are going to be staycationing this Labor Day weekend. And that's a good thing because, as you said, you don't want to end up at a testing site like this one at the Indio Fairgrounds, or worse, the hospital.
People are out in full force at this Costco in Palm Desert preparing for the Labor Day holiday. Larry Profeta is inviting a couple of friends over.
To have a little dinner party on Sunday, and it's ribs.
But he's thinking about more than the menu. He says social distancing is a must. Lots of hand washing will be done, and masks will be worn when they're not eating those ribs.
Our friends we've known for 30 years. One has a heart condition, so he's got to be very careful. No hugging, no kissing. No, nothing.
And that's exactly what health experts want to hear. The last spike in COVID-19 cases in the Coachella Valley happened after another holiday weekend.
We're certainly concerned about what's going to happen over Labor Day. Following Memorial Day, over the next several weeks, we just saw a tremendous spike in the number of cases, eventually peaking in July at over 90 cases in the hospital.
That spike was seen across the county, state, and country, too. County and federal health officials don't want a repeat.
I certainly am concerned that people may get the wrong idea. The virus is still around. We've got plenty of circulating virus about.
When you get into holiday weekends, the 4th of July, Memorial Day, there's a tendency of people to be careless somewhat with regard to the public health measures that we keep recommending over and over again.
And sadly, with more cases,
Unavoidable fact that if we have a significant uptick in the number of cases, we are going to see more deaths, and those deaths are unnecessary.
Now, one key difference, Dr. Williamson says, from last holiday to this one, this is right before the flu season. So if we do get a spike and then we get hit with the flu season, that could be the perfect storm. And also a reminder, all testing sites across Riverside County are closed through Monday. Reporting live from Indio, Kitty Alvarado, back to you in the studio.
All right, Kitty, thank you. Around the region, firefighters across California are preparing for the heat wave as well. The National Forest Service's ground and air resources have been pre-deployed to areas of particular concern, including spots where Labor Day camping is popular. That includes nearby San Bernardino National Forest. Officials say they've ramped up staffing and have some firefighters on 24-hour shifts in case a fire should break out overnight. The Apple Fire burned more than 30,000 acres in and around the Angeles National Forest. Officials are especially concerned about illegal campfires, which are up 270% from last year. All right, checking in on our COVID numbers. Numbers are roughly the same as yesterday, but the last 2 days up from what we reported on Wednesday. 284 new cases across the county, 67 here in the desert, 14 new deaths, including 3 folks who died from the Coachella Valley.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
2 women are under arrest accused of prostitution and maintaining a brothel in Palm Springs. The Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force arrested 57-year-old Shai-Ying Minor and 42-year-old Yun Su on Wednesday after serving a search warrant on South Williams Drive in Palm Springs. This was part of a sex trafficking investigation. Both were taken to county jail in Banning. No victims of the sex trafficking ring have been identified. The historic Illuminaire House is being donated to Palm Springs Art Museum and is expected to become part of a permanent collection. The home, which was created by Albert Fry in 1931, it's historically significant because it's made of aluminum and metal design. Pending final approval from the city, assemblage of the structure could begin as early as 2021. Still to come, Decision 2020, both presidential nominees on the attack today and caught on camera. Video of bighorn sheep that put the brakes on an afternoon drive, and our men and women in blue, a little unusual herding for them to do yesterday afternoon. We'll show it to you coming up next.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, a brutal holiday weekend heat wave and a first look at new COVID safety measures planned at airports. Plus, are people really fleeing cities like San Francisco for the suburbs? Our reality check on NBC Nightly News.
Now to our Decision 2020 coverage. President Trump held a press conference late this afternoon talking about lots of things. New economic numbers would show unemployment dropping to about 8.5%. But he was forced to deny a report in The Atlantic magazine about the president denigrating America's military dead. Meanwhile, his rival, Democrat Joe Biden, holding his own news conference saying if the reporting is true, the president is unfit to be commander-in-chief. Biden also talked about President Trump's encouragement of double voting and QAnon support for the president. Biden also confirmed he has been tested for COVID-19 and is getting tested regularly going forward. As we head to break, let's take a look outside. Mike, this Walter Clark cam shows more people than you'd think considering the weather, huh?
Yeah, right. Well, it is the Labor Day holiday. Some folks will be coming out to brave some extreme temperatures. We're going to be talking about some of those numbers. We're going to be showing lots of blue sky, and I got some good news for you when we come back. Welcome back. Here's a live look. That's an interesting take on it. That's our Agua Caliente casino cam in gorgeous Rancho Mirage, California. Got it zoomed way in there so we can take a look at the foothills near the base of Mount San Jacinto. Be nice to be at the very top of San Jacinto this weekend. Man, I wish the tram was running. It would be great to get yourself up to 10,834 feet because, well, it's not going to be extremely hot there. Here's what we're looking at for your other Agua Caliente casino camp, downtown Palm Springs, looking off towards the Santa Rosa mountain range. Lovely breeze coming in from the east so far today. In fact, that's been kind of a staple for the last 2 or 3 days. We'll get that to switch around to the northwest a little bit later tonight, get some more ventilation, this time coming in from the ocean. That'll help cool things a little bit tonight. We're going to need all the cool we can get. We were talking about this earlier. This is infrared zoomed way out, and it just helps to tell the story. There is no active weather anywhere along the western portion of the United States and all the way out into the Pacific as well. There's Hawaii. There's nothing headed our way. It's being diverted up around us there into British Columbia. So you know what that means. It's going to see some clear skies. We're going to see some hot heat, not only here in the Coachella Valley, but all the way out towards the coast as well. Coastal communities, many of them that are just a trace inland, will get into the low 100s, but right along the coast there'll be a little bit of upwelling that'll help some of those temperatures stay in the mid 80s, mid 90s there. But the big story is us. We'll roam back and forth between about 112 and 122 in some communities here. High deserts will get up to about 113. Inland Empire communities could get up to 118 degrees. It's normal for us. It's not normal for them. Inland Orange County could get up to about 115 degrees, and mountain foothills below 5,000 feet could get up to about 110. Now, we already got a jump on that. We were talking about this earlier today. We got up to 116. If you were thinking it was hot out there, you were right. And that tied the old record set back in 1955. As we go through the rest of the weekend, records across Southern California are going to fall in a big kind of way. Let's put that into perspective. I've got the two big places, Palm Springs International and Thermal, which becomes very popular this time of year because of the numbers that they produce. Remember, the hottest temperature ever recorded in the Coachella Valley is 126 back in 1950 in Thermal. So 119 is what I'm forecasting for Saturday and Sunday. Palm Springs 119 on Saturday, 117 on Sunday there, and Thermal. Clearly seeing the records are 5 degrees below that, 3 degrees below that, 4 degrees below that, and 2 degrees below that. You get the idea. We're going to break some records this weekend in a big kind of way, and not just here, but all the way out towards the coast. That said, that excessive heat warning went into place earlier this morning, stays in place until Monday night, Labor Day, until 8 p.m. And it's not just us, all the way out towards the coast as well. In fact, if I push the magic button near in Orange County, they've got an excessive heat warning in place as well. Now, we had a fire weather watch in place. That has now been upgraded to a red flag warning. The reason being is that easterly flow will continue throughout the weekend. And as I mentioned earlier, getting up to about 30, 40 miles an hour in some of the passes there. And that's really going to dry things out in the mountains. So I'm going to say it again. If you can just not use fire this weekend, that would be phenomenal. Fireworks, bonfires, barbecues, anything, just put it off until next weekend. We're begging you. 101 currently in the Yucca Valley, 112 at Coachella, 109 out towards 29 Palms. 82 is looking really good in Big Bear. But meanwhile, Idlewild broke a record yesterday, shattered one today. Currently 98 degrees up there. It's also 98 in Anza. There's that easterly flow that we were talking about. It's going to take a while. About 9, 10 o'clock tonight, that will switch around to the northwest. I'm not expecting it to be particularly strong, but it will ventilate us a little bit. We'll get ourselves back into double digits by 11 o'clock because, man, it's dry out there. But look at this. Saturday, our low temperature will be in the low 90s. We're going to warm up to about 118 by 4 p.m., and we're going to keep right on going. 119 is what I'm forecasting for most of us in the Coachella Valley, 108 in Joshua Tree, and mid-80s in Big Bear. Hot, hot, hot. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We'll back that off slightly on Tuesday, get those overnights back into the 70s, and we'll be rewarded with a short wave that moves in on Wednesday, knocks us back into the low 100s, and gets those overnights back into the mid-70s.
see. Santa Catalina is waiting for me. Santa Catalina.
In tonight's consumer news, Labor Day gas prices are set to be the lowest since 2004. So if you're heading out of town, that's good news. Now, the national average is $2.23. Of course, that has nothing to do with us here. Nationally, last year was $2.57. Here, you're looking at closer to $3 a gallon. Taco Bell is changing up its menu again, and nobody's happy about it. Taco Bell is getting rid of the several shredded chicken meals. But more importantly, and most upsetting, they're getting rid of the Mexican pizza. See what I'm saying? People are upset. These changes take place in November, and nobody is happy about it. We'll be back after the break. Well, yesterday we showed you pictures, still photos of a group of bighorn sheep causing a traffic jam in La Quinta. Well, here's video that we finally tracked down of those sheep being driven by police officers back to their natural habitat. We hear a lot about them, and it's rare to see them actually coming down from the mountain, but there you go. And our men and women in blue doing a little sheep herding as they pushed them back towards the mountains. Taking a live look right now at Santa Catalina Island, 26 miles across the sea. Anyway, a balmy 86 degrees for Catalina residents there. I think it's open. I mean, there's lots of boats there, so if they're looking at someplace to cool off, Catalina, always an idea. Mike, got a factoid?
Well, you know what? It's currently 86 degrees right now. Our forecasted high is 97 on Saturday, 99 on Sunday.
And that's got to be records, right?
Catalina, it's going to shatter records.
Yeah, it's going to shatter the records, Catalina. So you won't get much cooler, but it's pretty. See you at 6.
It seems so distant, 26 miles.